My fellow patriots, this is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and this is another episode of Inside Veterans Affairs. As you can tell, I am alone tonight. Miss Belinda lost her sister-in-law last night due to a long-fought battle with cancer. She will need some prayers, and she will be back on Tuesday night, and we'll do our Who Really Owns America and that discussion. But tonight she's dealing with funeral preparations and things like that. This was not unexpected, but it always sucks anyway. So just keep her in your prayers, and we'll be thinking about all of them while they're going through this. I've got some articles to talk about tonight, and last week, if you guys remember, we really didn't get to any articles because we were dealing with the gun grab, that kind of thing. So this week we are going to be doing that. I want to get to these articles that I missed, and there's some good stories too. So that's going to be a good thing. Thank you, DM. Yeah, I told her that you guys would be putting prayers up for her, so that'll be nice. Anyway, in this document here, the page that I follow, it's Office of Public and Intergovernmental Affairs. There's some decent headlines. A couple of them I'll probably open up and get into the stories a little bit. We've got one is VA hiring our heroes, partner on military spouse hiring initiative. So that's interesting. It says the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation's Hiring Our Heroes initiative recently joined efforts to lead and support military spouse employment at VA and throughout the federal government and reduce the high unemployment rate of military spouses. It's a good deal because when you are a military spouse, sometimes you get kind of backburnered by employers because they know that at any time you could be swooped out of there and end up at another duty station. So longevity is an issue, and they always think of that when they're talking about hiring. I know that a couple of times my mother was going to get some work doing some teaching at local schools, and because we were moving every 6 to 9 months in some cases, there was just no way that anybody was going to touch her. So this initiative will help with that, and we'll see what happens. I mean, everything's got a nice sound to it, but then you have to see how it goes. Conservative Patriot, hey, good to see you, brother. I don't know if Michelle's still here, but she popped in to say, hey. Of course, we got DM. I saw Florida Jim hanging out or lurking, but I think he's probably stepped to the side. It probably will show that I'm live here pretty soon. There's always this lag when you come on to this streaming when you connect to YouTube. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Good to see you. Anyway, so that's a good deal. It could be a good deal with the spouses. Give them some options, because I will tell you, military pay sucks. You don't join the military because of the pay. You join it for a lot of other reasons, but pay ain't it. And sometimes having a working spouse does make a big difference. The next one here is, it says VA launches August Women's Health Mini Residency Program. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs VA partners with the University of South Florida Central for Advanced Medical Simulation and Training to offer a Women's Health Mini Residency Program August 13th and 14th in Tampa. So if you're in the medical field, that would be something you might want to check out. Any chance you can get a residency program under your belt, even a short one, that's a good deal. Let's see. VA awards contract for Region 4 of Community Care Network. I'm not sure what that is. It says U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs awarded a contract August 6th to Tri-West Healthcare Alliance to serve as a third-party administrator in managing Region 4 of VA's new Community Care Network. Okay. Not sure which regions. I I have to check that out. I'm not even sure what my region is. Hey Jervis, good to see you. And we got, what is that? Jewish redneck preppers. Cool. Welcome. I like seeing bright and shiny faces all over the place. CLC, good to see you. You got it. You made it to your stories. That's good. Go ahead and repeat my opening for those that are just getting here. Belinda lost her sister-in-law last night after a long battle of cancer with cancer, and she tonight is taking care of funeral preparations at a local funeral home where she is, and she won't be joining me tonight. But I told her that I'd mention, and you guys could put her in your prayers, and hopefully I can get through this, and she'll be back here on Tuesday night, and we'll be back at it again. Let's see. That one I don't care about, teaching veterans how to invest money. Veterans aren't stupid. I mean, we're humans too. We all have capabilities, but this is something to teach veterans how to maintain their finances. Yeah. Them military soldiers need some help. They're getting their medications and their income figured out there. So whatever. I'm not going to even bother with that one. This is a good one. Good news here. It says that the VA has cured 100,000 veterans of hepatitis C. Hepatitis C runs rampant in some of these places that we end up deployed to, and hell, even in some of the inner cities. National Guard get in there and have to do things in some of these cities, and you can get hepatitis C by getting scratched on a piece of rusted metal or, exposure out on the street. So it sucks. Dangerous Freedom. Hey, bud. Good to see you. Invest in preps. Yes, always. Okay, this one here. The VA announces upcoming awards for more than $400 million in grants to help veterans who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. It is about damn time, and that's a fair chunk of change too. $400 million. Tiny houses is something that I've always thought about. My wife and I live in 300, a little bungalow type house that was built in the 1930s. We've been working slowly on restoring it and bringing it to life, but 330 square feet sounds pretty small, but it's got a bedroom, a kitchen area, and a seating area. So I mean, it's what we need. And she has a pretty major back issue and problems with her hips, and then I have all my issues. So we work out well in something small that doesn't take a whole lot to maintain. Liberty Smith, welcome. Good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. So anyway, so $400 million can go a long ways. It says thousands of low-income veterans and their eligible family members will continue to have access to critical homelessness services as a result of $426 million in grants to be awarded under the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs Supportive Services for Veterans and Families. That's actually something I might look into, because trying to work on a house with a very low income and very low physical ability is, it's bothersome. It sucks. I've still got to finish getting siding on 2 outside walls, so I might actually look into that, see if I can get some help to finish this place up and get it dried in good. This is something here that I'm looking at. It says VA DeepMind developed machine. DeepMind is a company, I guess, developed machine learning system to predict life-threatening disease before it appears. I don't know about that. I haven't heard anything about that. It's obviously something that wasn't being developed when my father was still alive, because he always told me about the new medical science and the programs that were going on. As a lot of you know, he was a physician in the Navy, so in his latter years, he was doing medical research and scientific medicine, so to speak. So must be fairly new. But it says the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, in partnership with DeepMind Health, published results in the July 31st edition of Nature on the development of artificial intelligence system, an artificial intelligence system that can forecast a deadly kidney disease in advance. Interesting. I have to see what comes of that. Let me see here a second. I gotta zoom that in because my old eyes are just dying trying to see my chat. Oh, there you guys are. Okay. And you're back. All right. Those are the headlines that I really wanted to discuss in intergovernmental affairs, and some of those will be interesting to follow up on. I'm going to be keeping my eyes open on them. But okay, this is a headline that just popped up. I'm on military.com, and it says a new bombshell. Legal opinion says military retirees can't be court-martialed. That's interesting. They were talking about that. Basically, it was something that was going through the Congress about retirees that may have issues all of a sudden being able to be tried under military courts-martial. And of course, with that, you would go to active duty imprisonment, so to speak. Hey, Fred. You missed me. I saw you. I got you before you swung at me. Good miss. But anyway, so yeah, they're talking about this thing, and what did I do with it? Just a second. Got to get these things back up here. Just got to be patient. Got to wait for me just a minute. Lost my headline. Let me see how to get it back here. Just a minute. It's the technical difficulties. Let's get it up there. And grab this one and get it over there. Y'all just talk amongst yourselves. And I'm back. All right. Let's get this one back down here. All right. There we are. Anyway, so that situation, they can no longer be court-martialed. That's good, because military prisons, I don't like them particularly. They follow a different set of rules, and most of the time, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but the prosecution rate under military court-martial is up around 96%, and civilian courts, it's around 40%. So a lot of innocent people get put into the military prisons. So kind of sucks. Let's see, I'm going to get this thing down here. I am actually learning how to do this stuff, and I learned it all by myself with the help of my son. So don't you hate it when your kids have to tell you how to do stuff or teach you things? It's like, shut up, boy, you get away from me, you bother me. But thank you for posting my email, Jervis. Yeah, if you guys have questions, comments, or articles, that would be the place to send them, because I know that a lot of the stuff that I talk about on here can be found just fairly easily, but a lot of people just don't feel like going through the time of looking through 24 news sources to come up with a few articles of interest. all by yourself with the help of your son. Yeah, well, that's what it was. But anyway, so let's see what else we got. This one is a interesting one. Anyway, that one about the court martial, I'm kind of glad about that because military needs to do some work on their legal system. Too many people get hemmed up for very little things, and they're they get hemmed up for a lot of years for very little things. So once you're out of the military, you shouldn't have be susceptible to that. Um, let's see. Another pleads guilty in a multi-million-dollar scam of VA spinal bifida program. Good. Take them down and get them out. Um, Navy and Marines are flying C-130s after Air Force found atypical cracks. And atypical cracks, I think that's Arabic for stress fractures. Atypical cracks. These planes are old. They are flown to the limit of their capabilities, and they're gonna start falling apart. You're gonna be flying along and see a wing go jumping off the plane and say, "Oh well, I guess that sucks." And then you're gonna see how well you can land a single wing on a C-130. They've got to do something about this. Um, Another one here, we got Afghan leaders reject foreign interference as the talks advance. Well, good, because our puppet governments that we install in these countries need to get the hell out of the way. We have no business forming governments in other countries, and we damn sure have no business putting the choice for the American cabal into these places. And it's not the American cabal, it's a damn CIA. So black programs, dark money, all that. Anyway, so we need to stay out of that. I agree. Uh, this one, I'm opening this one because it's got my interest. It says Maryland Senator pens letter to Army over Fort Detrick lab shut down. Now, I read this headline, but I'm going to be reading it cold with you guys, so we'll all be just as surprised as one another. The recent shutdown of research at a Fort Detrick laboratory has some local officials wondering if there was enough notice to the public. The U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Disease received a cease and desist order from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on July 15th. Wow, they didn't waste any time getting that article out. Wow. Okay. USA MRID or MRIID informed the Maryland Department of Health at the Frederick County Health Department, the Frederick County Department of Emergency Management, and the Containment Laboratory Community Advisory Committee. Wow, there's too many damn committees. Why can't they just have one person go, okay, that's good? Spokesman Career Vandler Linden said in an email, other Fort Detrick officials alerted County Executive Jan Gartner and Frederick City Mayor Michael O'Connor. Show full article. Thank you. Why do you have to do that? Dr. Rendell Culpepper, Deputy Health Officer, said the County Health Department had been notified shortly after the USAMRIID received the cease and desist letter from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, according to the previous news post reporting. But outside of notifying officials, there was little word on the halt to research before August 2nd. Outstanding. You wonder where they find all these zombies for the zombie movies. Hey, Deplorable Bobby's here. How you doing? You look at this. This is a bioweapons and disease laboratory, and they got a cease and desist order. But the thing is, this is just the order. I'll get to the other part in a minute because I looked up two articles here. Congressman David Trone, Democrat, Maryland, said in a statement his his staff is contact with great writing contact with USARMIID officials, and that he is watching the situation from a distance in a safe room. But anyway, this is where they get the zombies from for these zombie movies. They dig them out of these research labs that they don't have well contained. He also questioned why he learned about the stop to research from media reports instead of from the U.S. MRID or other Army officials. It's because you don't matter. Military first. I've done a video about this. Continuity of government, military operations, first responders, city management, and then common folk. Bottom of the totem pole. We are at the bottom of the boot. He will meet with Brigadier General Michael J. Talley, according to the letter dated Friday. Van Hollen wants to learn more about the background and relevant details for the CDC inspection. The CDC can regularly inspect U.S. AMRID, announced and unannounced, because of its participation in Federal Select Agent Program according to the Code of Federal Regulations. Now, as my father was involved with medical research, his title was exotic medicine specialist. And he went into one of these top-level classified bio research labs. And he's been around everything. He treated people with leprosy and all kinds of stuff, exotic diseases. But as a man of his stature, my father was a very brave man, very strong man. And he said when he went into that place and he put on that bio suit and plugged in the air to it and started to step into that bio lab, he said that was his entire life where his ass puckered. Because some of that stuff that's in these bio labs will kill you dead violently and very rapidly. Florida Jim, hey, I thought I saw you earlier. Welcome back. Good to see you. But anyway, this is what we get. So, Carl Krim, Democrat, Frederick is among a Democrat in Frederick County, or Frederick area, and is among those who question if there was enough notice given to the public. When Krim was an alderman for the city of Frederick, she sat through a review of the health and safety risks posed by U.S. AMRID and other high containment facilities on Fort Detrick. A copy of the guidelines and recommendations was published in 2010. Anybody ever seen the movie The Stand? Remember that breach of containment that came out of that military research lab and ended up killing most of society? That's exactly the kind of crap that can happen. They deal with some of the diseases that are beyond description, and they screw with these diseases until they're absolutely horrifying how fast they can kill somebody. And this bioweapons thing needs to be put away. It's time, because we don't need to destroy humanity because of some genetically modified disease that's designed to disintegrate the human body in a very quick period of time. Anyway, back to the title here. Can you turn that off for me, please? When it comes to communicating with the public, U.S. AMRID officials should expand its two-way communications. No shit. With the public, according to the review. Well, was there a leak? Well, there was a little leak. How big of a leak? Well, it wasn't significant. How many people are going to be affected? Well, the entire population. So it's a problem. Not really. That's the kind of communication you get when you're dealing with military operations. It's usually trickle down information, and they will give you it a little bit at a time, and the level of magnitude will be given in increments. So by the time the truth comes out, it's too late. Y'all gonna die. Chris Link, welcome. Good to see you. Let's see. Krim wants to review the research shutdown due to safety violations against the 2010 recommendations, while U.S. AMRID did notify local government officials following the cease and desist order. Krim questioned why they were not alerted earlier, including when the CDC came to inspect the facility. U.S. AMRID and local officials should go over the situation compared to the recommendations to make sure everything was followed. You mean cutting corners and skipping the red tape? No, the military never does that. Okay, here is a quote. I know that they are doing their best over there to ensure safety, she said. Don't bet on it. But something went wrong here, and I still don't know what went wrong. But something did because CDC closed the labs. Something went wrong. So I think there needs to be more transparency. And I think whenever we are dealing with the public, the more information, the better. Let's see. That gives the person that wrote the article, and give her a little credit. Not a bad article. Heather Mongilio was the writer of that article. And it was on News Cred. So, well done article there. Interesting information. Now, I want to get down to here's the second part of this information. Army biowarfare lab that tests Ebola and the plague failed safety inspections. Anybody sensing a pattern? This article is written by Haley Bridsky. Research at the Army lab that tests infectious disease like Ebola virus has been temporarily shut down after a federal agency found safety concerns within the facility. So that's exciting to think about. Is it really? Yeah, it excites me. Well, they got a secret little disease that you probably still find this information on the Alex is blurry though. It may be my new light because we just had thunder showers and got clouds. So yeah, me too much on the camera, or it could be focusing on the microphone. But it's a computer; they're evil. As soon as we all understand that, we're good. The picture keeps stopping on me. Well, I am sorry. It is definitely my weather. You can hear me just fine. Okay, good. Because this is, I mean, you don't need to look at this miserable face all the time. That's hard on anybody. So I like it better this way. Yeah, well, yeah, says Jim with his, you know, baby Jim. Anyway, pew pew pew. Still support 100%. Okay. Research conducted by the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases, U.S. AMRID, was halted after the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found that the lab failed to meet biosafety standards. This is a bigger story than I think people realize. The disease I was talking about, this thing, they call it a human rage virus. And it was created and it has been tested on more than one person. And what it does is it literally turns that person into the equivalent of what you see in the zombie movies. There are two incidents where one was a guy running naked in the street, attacked a homeless guy and bit his face off, and was literally eating him until he was shot. Another situation, cops went to see about a man that was going crazy, and he jumped on them, so they had superhuman strength and bit the nose and the ear off of one of the cops. So two incidents that you could probably still find somewhere on the internet. and it talks about that. Um, it's nasty stuff. But these are the kind of things that they're making in these biolabs because it's bioweapons. It's killing humanity kind of stuff. Anyway, so the research that has been suspended involves select agents, according to the New York Times. Well, New York Times, I don't give them much credit. Including the plague, Ebola, smallpox, and other pathogens the government has found to have the potential to pose a severe threat to the public, animal or plant health, or to animal and plant products. So, nasty stuff. The CDC inspected the Military Research Institute in June and found several areas of concern in standard operating procedures, which are in place to protect the workers in biosafety level 3 and 4 laboratories. Okay, this one doesn't have the nastiest of all the critters. My father went into a level 5 laboratory, which is the worst of the worst. But this one here can definitely get some people killed. But the level 5 is the highest you get, and that's some pretty dangerous stuff they keep in there. Anyway, so that was the CDC inspected Military Research Institute. June found, 3 and 4 laboratories. A U.S. AMRID spokeswoman, Vander Linden, Carrie Vander Linden, told the New York Post. So, according to the CDC, things studied in a biosafety level 3 lab can be either indigenous or exotic diseases or imported ones. And they can cause serious or potentially lethal disease through respiratory transmission. So these are airborne pathogens that they're studying here. There are some that are worse because they're airborne and contact. So this one is a level 3 apparently, with some level 4 inside the facility somewhere. Biosafety level 4, on the other hand, is the highest level of biological safety. No, it's not. I know that for a fact. There is a level 5. Maybe that's classified. So you didn't hear that from me. Per the CDC handling agents, which pose the highest risk of infection that is frequently fatal. At US AMRID, researchers were working on the Ebola virus in the biosafety level 4 lab. The CDC found that the lab lacked periodic recertification training for personnel who worked in the biocontainment laboratories. In addition, there was a failure to follow local procedures and a wastewater decontamination system deemed below standards, the News Post reported. This is crazy stuff. I mean, the reason I'm really emphasizing this article is because I don't think you guys realize how dangerous these facilities are. And in some cases, you can have a single bacteria come out on the sole of a boot. And if that person that came out takes the boots off and ends up getting that bacteria on their hand and then kind of goes, wow, what a day. Then all of a sudden he's infectious and he doesn't know it for a couple of weeks. By that time, he's infected hundreds of other people that have been bypassing or in work contact. And then you have a pandemic. It's that quick. And, these facilities have to be as safe as possible. I mean, they have to be safer than possible. So they got to take this shit seriously. When the lab received its cease and desist letter in July, researchers were working on agents that cause a rare infectious disease, tularemia. Never heard of it. Something I need to look up. As well as Venezuelan equine encephalitis, per the News Post. That's some nasty stuff. Oh, and also the plague. Yeah, they don't even need to do that in a lab anymore. They can do that in the streets of L.A. Fortunately, Vander Linden told the Times that while the CDC found leaks, they were inside the lab, meaning that no pathogens has escaped the lab into the outside world. Like I said, even on a boot, one bacteria can start a pandemic. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Um, Employees of the lab are still working on some other projects, according to the Times, just not on those select agents. Of course they are. U.S. Amarid will return to fully operational status upon meeting benchmark requirements for biosafety. Vander Linden told the News Post, "We will resume operations when the Army and the CDC are satisfied that the U.S. Amarid can safely and consistently meet all standards." U.S. Amarid has not yet responded to additional inquiries from Task of Purpose, but as of now, it seems unlikely that society as we know it, will be brought to its knees by a pathogen somehow freed from its laboratory prison. You know what? That last statement's pretty stupid. Oh, it's just a disease. We're not going to worry about it. Shut up. These people are insane. Talking like it's some no big deal. Oh, it's just a disease factory. There's no risk to humanity. They just have no clue. The reason I have a clue is because my father worked in it, and he explained how dangerous this stuff was and how simple it was for one single bacteria to start a potentially a plague. So, I mean, it's really important that pressure be put on these places to get their act together and start thinking about the safety of people, because they really don't give a damn. The deep state and the cabal want to take out 7 billion people anyway, according to the Georgia Guidestone. So they don't give a damn, but we need to give a damn. Um, anyway, so that's that article. That's it in detail, and it's got to change. But I'm going to get off of that one now because, frankly, it pissed me off. Little piece of decent news: an Air Guard pilot receives Distinguished Flying Cross for an emergency landing. He saved his passengers and a $30 million aircraft. And basically, the military doesn't care about the personnel, but the $30 million aircraft, now that's worth saving. So, no, Alex, they don't have anything that could kill over half of us. No, of course not. Nope. None of those diseases that they work on, like the ones that they put into genetically modified so that it takes you out physically and respiratorily. God, they got some nasty shit. Kevin Moore, fan 33, welcome. Good to see you. Virtual Eve. I must have somebody else in there. Didn't catch. Anyway, so that's good news about the guy saving his pilots. But the deal about the C-130s with stress cracks that's something to be thinking about. Taliban says the differences have been resolved on U.S. troop withdrawal. So that means our boys and girls are coming home. It's about time. These continuous wars for the military complex, it's time. So bring our people home. We have a country here we need to take care of. U.S. Afghan envoy praises excellent progress in Taliban talks. Like I said, great. American Joe is in the house. Hello, everybody, to American Joe. I'm glad to see you, brother. Let me go over what I did in the very beginning, just because it's important that I tell you people why Belinda's not here. She had a death in the family, and she lost her sister-in-law last night. She's at the funeral home tonight, taking care of issues with that. I just ask that if you are praying people to put her in your prayers, help them get through this with some strength, and she will be back Tuesday night for our Who Really Owns America, and this time we're actually going to get it done. Last week was an absolute flop. We just could not get our streaming up and going, so this time we'll be doing it right. DM, how is my video and audio at this point? Am I still stationary with a loud voice, or is it clearing up at all? Or anybody that wants to make a comment on that, um, I'd appreciate it. Here's a Newfoundlander, Ingalls family. Welcome. Thank you. Navy cuts flight hours and cancels performances as it deals with aviation budget shortfall. I want you guys to think about that for a minute. What was it last year? Military budget, $700 billion. Now, this year was supposed to be slated for, we like your fuzzy face. Oh, well, thank you, Fred. This year is supposed to be slated for $750 billion for military spending. What the hell are they talking about? Budget shortfalls. There should be no shortfall. Lee in the house. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Renee's here too. Welcome. You got to answer me that question. Where are we having trouble with a budget of flight hours critical for the success of our aviators to get hours in the sky? Without flight time, mistakes happen. And shortfalls? No, I don't think so. Appropriation mismanagement? So it's that's got to be corrected. There should be no shortfall at all. And here's another one specifically about financing. Again, Space Force funding may come up short this year, key lawmaker says. Why? I mean, you can buy a country for $700 billion, and you can buy a country with another island attached to it with a $750 billion. Why don't we have the money for our military? Where did it go? Who misappropriated it? And give us some damn answers. Now, Pacific militarization. South Korea says North Korea has fired 2 more projectiles into the sea. Well, so what? This is the military complex again, fear-mongering and wanting to stay in conflict. Every country in the world does military exercises. North Korea is not firing ICBMs into the Sea of Japan. They're not flying them over Japan. So they are doing military exercises in their territorial waters and in their country. We need to stay the hell out of that. Right now, there's a joint military exercise between the U.S. and South Korea. So what is the difference between us doing military ops in South Korea and North Korea firing off a few of their missiles for to see how they're going to do? Palladian Scientist, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Excuse me. But anyway, we get worked up about this crap, but that is the fear mongering. We've got to stay in conflict. We need to be at war because we got people that got to make money. So, that's all it's about. It's dollars and cents when it comes to war. They want to send our people off to die so that people above and below can get their money for rebuilding countries, for supplying the military. Just recently, as a matter of fact, I looked up, I got a vicious itch. Yeah, very unprofessional, but it's gone. Got it. Okay. Just for kicks and giggles, I've been hearing about, the Bush family having a lot to do with the Second World War with grandfather Bush, or great-grandfather as it was to Junior. And I knew that the Rothschilds were one team that was being supplied by them, and the other team was being supplied by Bush. So I looked up some old World War II photographs of the old Tigers and the old Shermans, and also the old Jeeps and the half tracks, and I got looking at these pictures, zoomed them in so I could get real good detail. And yes, they all have the same tires. The manufacturers are the same, both sides. The equipment on the sides of these things is painted different colors, but it's the exact same equipment. So it's kind of like the same situation with us right now. We supply countries with military weapons, and then 5 or 10 years down the road, we end up going to war with these countries, and we get to fight our own equipment. Well, in World War II, they were obviously making their own equipment in two different places, so it didn't look the same, but the suppliers were the same. And that's what's going on with this military industrial complex. They want to supply both sides, and then they want to have their people that they've picked rebuild the countries after they're annihilated. So you're paying your suppliers, they're taking care of things, and then you're paying for the people to rebuild these countries. And you know, it's just ridiculous. It's amazing to me that they can do this crap, and that people just haven't revolted all over the world and put an end to this, because it's time. We need peace on this planet. We're capable of peace because people in general are good people, and military and government entities in countries are not typically good people. So, anyway, enough of that. This is a good story here. I love this. This is a 94-year-old Mant Fort Point Marine veteran awarded Congressional Gold Medal. Outstanding. Less than 2,000 of these 20,000 Mant Fort Point Marines have been identified and awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. It's just about time. And these were basically all black brigades. And, they at that time, they were still shunned upon. And I just think the whole thing is disgusting. These the way that people treated other people in history is just ridiculous. But I say it's just about time, and congratulations. This man deserved it, and God bless him. But another one here, it says gliderman lost to history found in Louisiana. France awards World War II Screaming Eagle veteran its Legion of Honor. So Hitler stole the champagne from the French, he said, so we took it back. Okay, so this is one of the monuments men, but basically that's cool. So he got a award too. It's about time. I'm glad these people are getting their awards. It's late, but it's happening, so they deserve it. Another 5 days ago, lost another veteran to suicide in North Carolina VA hospital parking lot. The death is the latest in a string of suicides in public areas on VA campuses. I'm sorry to hear that. It's very sad. I wish I could do more for these people that are feeling down and having issues. I wish they could get in contact with me, because I go pick them up, get their mind off that shit, and see what we can do. Let's see. Okay, here's one. I love this because I am going to get my happy ass down here and enjoy this myself. It says the first underwater veterans memorial is open for divers. Outstanding. I love swimming. Matthews was dedicating the opening of the nation's first underwater dive memorial honoring veterans located 40 feet below the surface, 10 miles off the coast of Denton Beach, Florida. And I want to open that. I didn't have a chance to go over all my articles because we've had rain all day. And when I get rain fades. So they're like, oh, you wanted to read that? I'll do it later. Let's see, first underwater memorial. That is outstanding. It wasn't the typical ribbon cutting ceremony. Instead of standing in front of some building, Hayward Matthews, a professor of oceanography at St. Petersburg College, wielded the oversized scissors in the water and cut a ribbon strung between two boats. That's because Matthews was dedicating the opening of the nation's first underwater dive memorial honoring veterans located 40 feet below the surface, 10 miles off the coast of Dunedin Beach, Florida. Matthews has been pushing the idea for the Circle of Heroes for almost 10 years. Just cool. If I could, I got to figure out the image share capability, and I might come back to that next week and post that because that's just cool. I just wanted something that was going to be permanent and also wanted something that was going to honor our veterans in a unique and different way, Matthews told the Military Times in June. You know what, though? I as an Apache Indian, I'm not to be put into a box. I'm to be cremated, and that's just the way that is. So, an interesting idea with this would be if you are married and the two of you kick it, then it'd be interesting to uh, take the remains of you and your spouse, mix them up in concrete, put a little bronze plaque on there, and then go basically have your stone placed in a underwater memorial like this. And I think that would just be phenomenal. I would love to do that. Uh, Ended up turning off my chat. Got to get that back and put you back over there. Okay. Now, why does it keep doing that? Um, just a second. Okay. And I'm back. Killed off my chat for a minute. Anyway, so I think that's pretty cool. That's a good one. That's a high point. Um, let's see. For some veteran strangers or family at funeral burial services. Yeah, this is a thing that we do here in locally in Florida. It says for some veteran strangers or family at burial services, and our fallen heroes don't have family. Some of these guys are awfully long livers, and then when they die, they in some cases they're the last of their kind, or their family has been spread out throughout the country, and one reason or another can't make it. So veterans will go to these funerals and stand in honor of our fallen for the basically on behalf of their families. And another one, Florida program puts commandos back in uniform and out on the streets as law enforcement officers. Good, because frankly, I think soldiers have a hell of a lot more training than police officers, so a soldier should be a good cop. Um, Another highlight: more than 2 dozen missing Korean War troops just identified from the returned remains. So we're getting them identified, we're getting family notified, and it's a good deal. Then the new findings more than quadruple the number of identifications from 55 cases of remains turned over last year. I think that's really cool. That's good. Good. Um, Here, confirmation vote for VA's deputy secretary scheduled for September. They've already had his hearings back in May. Why the hell does it take so long to get people into President Trump's cabinet? we're almost in the third year, and this ass dragging that's done by the Congress on his cabinet members is getting really old. We, as the American people, we need our cabinet in place so that things can get done in some kind of fashion. Everything takes years because they're delaying getting people into their positions. It's just it's ridiculous. But anyway, let's see. I got 4 minutes, something like that. 5 minutes. But anyway, um, I just to let you know, I did join Parler, the alternative to Twitter. I'm on there under Disabled Vets Perspective, and you should be able to look me up under that. And if you want to join me over there on Parler, I'd be glad to have you over there with me. Again, Melinda will be back on Tuesday night. Thank you to my mods. You guys are awesome. All of my other guests that have joined us here, I'm very glad to have you. Anyway, so I'm going to duck out just a little bit early because that was all of the articles. And I think I covered everything I wanted to cover on there. Any questions real quick for me? Thank you, Shonda, for posting that for me. Thank you to all of you for posting my PayPal, my email, the numbers for military, the crisis hotline, all of that. It's all important, getting it out there. Anyway, so if there are no questions for me, prayers for Belinda. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I will pass them on to her. She knows, though. She knows you guys care a lot about her, and she's humbled by how much everybody likes having her around. I told her from the very beginning that she was really important to the show and that people love her. So we're definitely going to be thinking about her. I will tell her, DM, that you told me. I will make sure she knows. Anyway, that's all I got for tonight, y'all. And thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you guys giving me the time, because you could be doing anything else in your lives, and you give me an hour of your life 3 nights a week, basically. And I just think that's outstanding. And I am humbled by how much you guys enjoy being around me, because I enjoy you guys too. But anyway, until next time, y'all, make sure to stay in the fight. Good night.